Welcome, thank you to be here. I'm Marco Parenzan. I'm an Azure MVP. I am a community lead in Pordenone. I have a community where we do also event, not like this, it's incredible. And I work in Insight. You have seen in the title that I have developed a game, a Pong game, but I'm not a game developer. In fact, all the games I'm developing are a long-lasting project. That means that they are unfinished. And but I say that when I want to use Azure and the cloud as and apologize with my wife when I do retro gaming. WAF is, if you know, the wife's acceptance factor. That means the justification you have to justify something that typically wife does not accept. Like, for example, going to a dump and finding a Pong game so I can restore. Or, for example, playing with Arduino and remake a Pong. So, after these two activity, and then the idea is recreating the original game on a PC. But which are the justification to spend the nights to do this kind of thing? Well, I like retro gaming. I'm not a gamer, and at least I like retro games because I love my Commodore 64 and this kind of games, and also Pong. There are communities on that. So. If you create an older game now, you try to make it different. For example, make it move. The Pong is just up and down, move all around the screen, just to do some movement and to understand what to do. For example, I plan to do probably shooting bullets to destroy some bricks or something like this. But what is interesting for Azure, for example, is to allow two players play remotely with two users that connect with two applications and play Pong together. At least on mobile phone, I'm trying to use touch, but I'm not good with mobile. And during the development, I had the idea to move completely to the serverless. So first of all, JavaScript. If I program, I use a computer. If I use a game, sorry, I use JavaScript. I don't use Unity. I like JavaScript. I started, if you are interested, I used Phaser as a library, but when it went to the Phaser free, I had to rewrite everything, and I needed something more easy. So overall, if you have to do retro games, because new libraries implement physics, and physics are bad for retro games. So I moved to another library that is Contra. The first version I have done with this play is in the old way, like the old electronic Pong. That is, the playfield is pixel wide on a specific screen, and this is will become a problem. And then it is entirely JavaScript without any server-side logic. I have a single page, a single HTML page. What can I do? In Azure, I can use app services, so platform as a service hosting. There is no, at the moment, a serverless offer for platform as a service for the app services, just only the function, but not the web hosting. So the most similar thing to serverless at the moment is using the new feature that is in other clouds are already existing, but for Azure have appeared this summer, static website hosting in Azure Storage. That means using a blob storage to contain static files without using CDN, and so you have basic features for a website, for example, the default page, the not found page. You can use custom domain name, and this invites to write the backend logic, if any, outside, for example, with a function. So, first demo. My first demo is I have a storage. If you have, someone have already used Azure? Okay, now in Azure we have a feature that is a static website. One of the feature, oh, no, sorry, I have to exit, sorry, to exit the presenter view. We have a feature static website, and we have a static website enabled, so we have an endpoint that a blob already has, that is zone redundant, a secondary endpoint, index document name, and an error document. The first result of the work is this. Okay, entirely in JavaScript, quite simple to play together on the same PC. Okay, with a difference that we can move also all the screen. I have to decide what can happen, but just to start to play. Okay, 1 point already finished. Okay, so let's back to without presenter view. Okay, I have a game. So next step is using the same JavaScript base to allow 2 persons playing remotely into different computers. So when remote players, you need to be notified, because if a player moves his player in his browser, the recipient has to be notified that the same player on the remote screen have to move. You and also the ball, because if we have JavaScript, someone also has the issue to move the ball for him and for the other one. So the solution is using, obviously, WebSocket. If we are remote, we need to identify which is the other player. It's not my focus in this study to implement identity, and probably I can implement identity better serverless, but I have used it in this case ASP.NET ASP.NET Core, so I moved away in this case from the serverless, so from storage, sorry, and because ASP.NET Core implements Facebook support quite easy. ASP.NET SignalR is the library that is part of ASP.NET Core that is completely support for SignalR. It implements many features. What is important is that if you need to scale out, because we are in a cloud environment, and we have many instances of ASP application with SignalR support, we need to take the state outside the front-end application on a state server. In this case, with the right of SignalR, they have decided to support mainly Redis. A new service that came out also this year is Azure SignalR service. While ASP.NET SignalR is hosted in the same process as ASP.NET application, and we have to manually scale out the state of SignalR in multiple servers, with SignalR service on Azure, we have a platform as a service service which scale out automatically. So we don't have the issue of managing the state of a highly available platform. So in this case, from a self-hosted SignalR, we move to managed SignalR service. We have many features that are implemented, and many will come more over time. But if we look at the pricing, we are not really in a serverless, completely serverless scenario, because we pay per hour of use. But this service is designed to be introduced in serverless scenarios. So I need to write some backend. So a backend appear just an application to manage the web page, but also to implement the hub that is states on the server side that makes the connection. with the issue now, I have to use Visual Studio Code at the moment, but okay, sorry. I open. I go to the desktop, electronic, okay. So, if I look at here, with a game, this is a simple controller which have just one action, just to display the page. What is the backend is the support to SignalR hosted in the process, which makes the connection between the client. The other thing is on the page. If I go to Views, Remote, Game, what we see is we have a connection to the SignalR, connection.start. Identify a left and a right. The first is left, the second is right. Connection invoke play with. I make the second one associate with the first one so they can match together to play one another. If we look inside the code, what we see, we have that. Well, this is the mouse, the control of the pedals, so to move up and down. But what we see is this connection invoke notify ball, notify left pedal. That means that a page push the information for his pedal, but also for the ball. At one time, if the ball is moving from the left to the right, the left player calculate the position for the ball, moving to the right. When the ball begin to go on the left, the right player calculates. Okay, so it is completely based on a web page. SignalR is only making the connection. Just to see. This is the code that is not already deployed, but you see that choosing SignalR self-hosted, SignalR on Azure is just, in C# at the moment, just a change of configuration, as the API are exactly the same. So you can start developing in the self-hosting SignalR, and then you can switch to a scale-out architecture with Azure SignalR. Which is the result? I have, sorry, with a computer switch, I missed an IP address, but I look in a moment here, so I can connect. That is the only thing I miss here. Okay. So I take this. I go 51. 144, 1, okay, 98 and 107. I hope I can proceed because I have a self-signed certificate. Why I need HTTPS? Because as I need a Facebook authentication, I have to have an HTTPS endpoint, as Facebook does not allow you to authenticate. I hope to have a connection. Okay. So, login. I hope. As always, it works on my machine, but okay. Facebook. Probably there is a low signal here. At one moment, I have to take another user. Okay. So, version. New. Okay, so I am logged, so I have the link for the invitation, and now what I do is opening another browser. I have here an Opera browser. Okay, I passed the link, not this link. Copy the address, this one. That has the invitation code. Continue anyway. I take a test user here in my application. Okay. I have a Facebook authentication here. Test user. Okay. Okay. So we have, sorry for the delay, we have two pages. We are on the same PC, but they are connected on the cloud. You see that we have a web address. So they are connecting. You see, I'm moving on the left, and I have to make some difficulties. Okay, I am communicating, and what I see is that it's quite slow, really, because it has to send the ball, has to make a double trip, go to the server, and then go down. Okay, so the idea was, okay, invitation, the server-side logic, so left speed, the left push on the right, and the right push on the left. So this solution is bad. I have not done, I've done any optimization, but I feel that is not the correct solution. So what I need now, I need to do rewrite, because one thing that is different from this is world coordinates, because if I want to play with another device that probably can be one of a PC, one of a mobile phone, they have different sides of the screen, but the ball have to move in the same place, relative. So I needed to implement word logic, an abstract word logic, 0 to 1, and move and make the client scale correctly against the screen. But also, I want to move this logic for the ball on the server side. So I decided to try something that is moving containers to the serverless world. I don't want to use a VM. I don't want to use the app service via jobs. I would like to use containers, but not installing a cluster. Also Service Fabric, but is a cluster. It's infrastructure as a service. There is a new service that came out also this summer, that is Service Fabric Mesh. That is serverless containers and microservices, serverless. One moment. Okay. It's serverless, just an execution. The demo. Ok, remote play 2, the same logic, copy, and paste. This is the same game, but the ball is moved by a container that calculates the ball for the two. And so the ball moves one way to the two-socket connection. It's slow, but you feel that they are almost the same speed. It's just an example, obviously, because I have not spent a lot of time to optimize this. But what you understand is that if we calculate the ball on the server side, we can have more performance. Just to show, and I finish, sorry, is that when you have Service Fabric Mesh, you have no cluster, but you have just a single mesh application. At the moment, Mesh is just, they have to implement the complete Service Fabric solution, but what you have now is, at the moment, that the web application is deployed as a mesh application, deployed as a container. Thank you.